In this module, we're going to talk about organizing your presentation. We've already gone over the first 5 stages of speech preparation. Those were selecting and narrowing a topic, determining your purpose, developing your central idea, generating main ideas, and then gathering the supporting information or the research that you need to do to back up your knowledge and to fill in those main ideas. When you're organizing a speech, you're going to organize it just like you would a paper with an introduction, a body, and a conclusion. We're going to talk about the body of the speech first. Generally, when I put together a presentation, I like to work on the body first, and my information for the introduction and conclusion come out of what I have in the body of the speech, but everyone has their own way of doing it. So if it helps you to do the intro first, conclusion first, it's totally up to you, but I'm going to talk about the body first. And the body of the speech, as we already said, presents the main content. It organizes your main ideas. You've done a lot of research and you have a lot of information to present, but you can't just spit out information. It has to be logically organized, and we're going to look at some of the ways you might organize that information. The first way you might organize information is sequentially or chronologically. If you're doing a how-to speech, you might have sequential order. If you have a speech that has a timeline to it, you're talking about something through history, that could be chronological organization as well. And so each of those steps or each of those time periods would be a main point. Spatial organization is when you organize the ideas according to space or location. Some time ago, I was at a presentation that used this. It was some Oklahoma City firefighters who gave the presentation, and it was after the bombing at the Oklahoma City Federal Building. And they were going around and giving presentations in different areas of the country so that firefighters could learn how to be better prepared. They talked about what they did and what worked well and what needed improvement so that better preparation could be available for everyone. The way they organized it and the way they presented it was talking about circles. They had different circles, levels of circles around the building. The outermost circle was the public, and that's where they were allowed in. The next circle in was the press, and that let them get closer than the public, but kept them at a distance, a safe distance, so the firefighters could do their jobs. And then the next circle in was the support for the first responders. This included things like food, water, places to rest, first aid, those types of things. And then the next circle in was the command center. So this is where the firefighters would go to get their information. The next circle was, or the innermost, was the building itself from where the rescue operations were taking place. So each of these circles they took as a main point and took time to explain what they did, what went well, what needed improvement. And so that made them each a main point. So you can organize by location or position. You can also organize by cause and effect. You can talk about the things that led up to a particular event, or you can talk about the effect of an event. For instance, the Chicago fire. The Chicago fire was so bad, and you might say what led up to the causes of that fire. So it was so bad because there were so many buildings, sidewalks, roads that were built of wood. They really lacked building codes at that time, and so that led to poor building and things that didn't have firewalls and stuff like that. There was some dry weather, and the wind was blowing the flames, which it's the Windy City, so it's to be expected. You can't necessarily control it, but it did add to the fire's total devastation. So this is some things that led up to the Chicago fire. Or you can start the Chicago fire and you could talk about some of the effects that it had. So for instance, the Chicago fire had these effects. More stable buildings made of steel and stone were built after because there were stricter building codes, and these building codes were better enforced. A new architectural style came out, the Chicago style. And the Chicago style, these buildings are noted for their originality rather than their antiquity. And some of the first early skyscrapers came out of the rebuilding of Chicago. So you can talk about the things that led up to a particular event or the things that happened because of that event. So cause and effect can be a way to organize your presentation. You can also organize by problem solution. You could talk about opioid crisis and your solution to it. Don't forget to discuss why your solution will work. Now, this particular one is something that's used more in persuasive presentations. When you're doing informative, you are simply teaching us about a topic. You're not trying to get us to think a certain way or tell us to do anything. So this problem solution organization does not apply to informative presentations. If all these other ways we've talked about don't really apply or you don't think that they're going to be the best, you can go with the topical organization. And topical organization just kind of looks at the natural divisions of an idea. You might use one of these principles in trying to organize your ideas under topical organization. The recency principle, the primacy principle, or the complexity principle. Which one you use and how you organize things is up to you. And I'll go over what each of these means. The recency principle says that the most recently learned information is best remembered. And so arranging your ideas from the least to the most important is what you would do here. So that last one really has impact and helps the audience to remember. That's what they take home with them. The primacy principle says the audience is processing your earliest points with a fresh mind. And so the first thing makes a huge impression. The arrangement of ideas from most to least important is what you use for this principle. I know the total opposite. You choose the impact you want to have. You know your information. You know what will have the best impact. So you choose, do I want to put the most important information first and then move on? Or do I want to go with the information that is lesser first and then build up to this really big impressive thing? Now, when you're talking persuasive, how you present does sometimes depend on your audience. For informative, though, you can choose what impact you want to make. And then we also have the complexity principle. And this arranges ideas from simple to more complex. Again, for informative, it's up to you if you choose to do this and the order you want to arrange them. Because you could also go from more complex to more simple. For persuasive, though, it's going to depend on your audience. And we'll talk about that more when we get to persuasive. It is important, though, that you organize your main points. And then within your main points, you have all the supporting material. That also needs to be organized. So again, it's not just, this is my main point, this is everything I have under there. It's logically organized. To logically organize your supporting material, you use some of the same things we just talked about. A couple that are added here are specificity and soft evidence to hard evidence. With specificity, you're organizing from specific information to more general information, or from a general statement to specific information. Again, what you use depends on the impact that you want to have. So it's totally up to you and the impact you want to have. Do you want to say maybe 20% of students graduate and don't have a job? But at our school, only 5% graduate without having a job. And of those 5%, more than half of them have a job within a month. So maybe you're, and I'm making up numbers here, but maybe you're just letting them know, hey, this is impressive. And you see how I went from big to little. I went from general to specifics. I said colleges in general, and then I went to our school specifically. You could go the opposite. You could say that within our school, the graduates from our school, 1/2 of 5%. I'm lost on my numbers now. A small percentage don't have jobs, or maybe you would just say something like 10% don't have jobs when they graduate. But nationwide, 20% don't. So we're doing pretty good. So here you started for something specific and you went to more general. Again, the impact that you want to have depends on you and the information you have. Soft evidence to hard evidence. Soft evidence are those things like supporting material that is based on opinion or inferences. These are your hypothetical illustrations, your descriptions, explanations, your definitions, your analogies. All of those are still important, but when you're going from soft to hard evidence, those are the ones you present first. The hard evidence are the factual examples and statistics. So the things that are very much out there and you cannot refute them, and they're not just kind of, I'm describing this, or they're not soft. Now, once again, you may go soft to hard or hard to soft. It just depends on the impact that you want to have. So organizing your ideas, your main points within your speech, and organizing the supporting material within those main points is very important. You can't just stand up and start talking. Organize your ideas for a better presentation.